Hello, my name's Rob. This is my Bowie Confessional. Um, I suppose I should really start with, oh, hello, I didn't see you there. It's always a bit disappointing when they don't start with that, isn't it? But anyway, so yeah, this is my Bowie Confessional. Starting with, when did I first become aware of Bowie? Now, this is a bit of a weird one, really, because I can I can remember Bowie, and I can remember becoming a Bowie obsessive. Um, my earliest memory of Bowie goes back to you remember when you used to record things off of Top of the Pops? I recorded Life on Mars off of Top of the Pops on my parents' old reel to reel tape recorder. You know those big reel to reel recorders. Um, many years later, I was like going through some tapes that I'd recorded, and amongst them was an episode. Well, no, excerpts from an episode of Top of the Pops, and I'd included Life on Mars. So that's probably when I first encountered Bowie. Um, the other one that I particularly remember was that later on in the 70s, I think we're probably talking sort of 78, 79, something like that, when I should have been asleep, I used to listen to Capital Radio, and I think it was Nicky Horn. I mean, it's all a bit fuzzy, but I don't know whether it was Your Mother Wouldn't Like It or one of those shows, or whether it was an album chart or something. But he used to play Station to Station quite a lot. He introduced me to loads of stuff. Iggy Pop, New Values, The Doors, yeah, loads of stuff that's stayed with me to this day. But I particularly remember Station to Station. I'm thinking, oh wow, what is this? I like the sound of this. So time moved on, and later on in my teens, I guess I kind of got into electronic music and what was at the time futurist, post-punk, new romantic, that sort of thing. And I fell in with a new crowd of friends. And a friend of mine was this guy Chris, who was a bona fide Bowie fan, and not just Bowie per se, but all the Bowie ecosystem. So Iggy Pop, Lou Reed, that sort of thing. And this was all kind of, certainly Iggy Pop and Lou Reed was all new to me, but this was just about the time of Scary Monsters, and I mean, what a fantastic time to really kind of get into Bowie, because that was such a seminal album, and so it was really good time to sort of hear Bowie and get drawn in. And from that point, I was able to work backwards. I mean, Lodger I was familiar with at the time, but didn't know intimately. But Chris kind of introduced me to all the sort of previous Bowie albums, and some of them we kind of discovered together, and that was kind of nice. So that was kind of the point which I became, a card-carrying Bowie fan. My friends, what did my friends think? Yeah, I can think of a couple of examples. One was Richard Monday, who I used to walk to school with, and I think it's fair to say he was probably more into sport than he was into music. But he kind of raised the case of, the thing with Bowie is that all his songs sound the same. Releases a single, same as the last single. What you want to listen to is a band like The Police. With The Police, every track sounds different. So you may well be Police fans, and fair play to you. I can't help but think that Richard was doing them a disservice. I also remember my friend Chris one day getting his new Bowie picture calendar and foolishly taking it to school, and then it sounds like something out of Kes or something, but during the PE lesson, somebody found this and found a picture of Bowie and hawked and spat directly on Chris's calendar. So I guess that was the thing. I'm not saying that we were outsiders or rebels or anything like that, but it's just that I guess, realistically, there's probably sort of two camps. There's people who are into music, any kind of music, and then there's the others. And it pretty much felt like everybody else was the others. When did I first see Bowie? Like a lot of you, that was the Milton Keynes Bowl. Fantastic gig. Obviously extremely significant for any Bowie fan to see Bowie for the first time. But the other thing was that it was quite a memorable day anyway, because I went with Chris and our mutual friend Greg in Greg's rather sad van. Had a fantastic gig. And when it was all over, if you think Milton Keynes Bowl is big when it's full of people, you should see it when it's empty. I know this for a fact because Greg lost the van keys. And so we kind of combed the ground trying to find the van keys so that we could get home again. As luck would have it, we were able to break into the van quite easily, and it was so old and rickety that it didn't really need a particular key to start the ignition. Any key was sufficient. Then halfway home, the lights failed, and so we had to drive the rest of the way from Milton Keynes back to North London with me hanging out the window, pointing a torch at the road. So yeah, that was a memorable night, all in all. Saw Bowie. I think I probably saw him on all the other generally accessible tours, so Glass Spider, Sound and Vision, and Reality. But yeah, that was the first time, and that was pretty special. I'll come back to that in a second, actually, but the next question on the list is favourite Bowie album. Right, okay, so I think we've seen from a few of the confessionals that trying to say, having a favourite Bowie album, it's a bit like having a favourite child. You kind of, you love them all equally. Well, apart from tonight. I'm going to go for Lodger, which I know is a weird choice, but it's just so underrated. It's so underrated. Great songs, and I just like the rough edges. I like the experimental approach. It does, so many things right. And I think also that, without doubt, my favourite Bowie era goes from Station to Station through to Scary Monsters. That patch, the sort of like, the Berlin trilogy plus the bookends either side, that is without doubt my favourite Bowie era. I mean, I can appreciate, Ziggy and Aladdin Sane and the rest of them as great songs, but they just don't connect with me in exactly the same way. So yeah, Lodger. I mean, it's an odd choice, but it's probably the one that I will always come back to, and I will never turn off, and so there you go. Right, next question. Have I ever met him? No, but funny story. Well, almost. Chris, remember my friend, the one who went to Milton Keynes with, and the one who introduced me really to the world of Bowie? He has met David Bowie. He was on holiday, Chris, this is, in France, and decided, as you do, to get cultural. So he went to the Louvre to check out the art, and so he went to the Louvre and went up, and it was Tuesday or whatever, and the Louvre was closed. And so we've all been there. That situation where you're you've blocked out a day to do something, and then you can't do that thing, and then you have that moment of, oh, what do we do now? So as you were standing there thinking, oh, what do I do now? A big limo pulls up, and out pops David Bowie. David Bowie happened to be in Paris, thought he'd check out some art, goes to the Louvre, only it's Tuesday, the Louvre is closed, and he can't get in. So there you go. I think this is interesting in two respects. One, Chris gets to meet David Bowie, albeit only as far as, hi Dave. But also it goes to show that, even rock stars have rubbish days as well. Next question. Bowie memorabilia. I don't really have any. Nothing that you don't have. I don't think. I've got the original Diamond Dogs cover. I've got a few programs from the concerts I went to. Got a few autographs. Got Mike Garson, Adrian Belew, Robert Fripp, but not Bowie himself. So not really a memorabilia sort of guy. Favorite Bowie? Oh, sorry. Yes. Rewind that. Memorabilia. Again, Chris. This is all about Chris. It's not about me. I don't know what's going on here. Chris, at the Serious Moonlight gig, the one where we lost the keys and all the rest of it. You may remember if you were there. There was a big half moon that was suspended over the stage and kind of over the crowd. And then towards the end, I think it probably was during Modern Love or something, it split open and released thousands of little inflatable silver half moons. And Chris got one of those. So he got memorabilia. Perhaps I'll get him to join Cheap Things and he can tell his story, which is probably better. Right, favourite Bowie story? I don't really have any Bowie stories. I mean, the only Bowie story that I used to carry around with me was the Ashes to Ashes one about being, filming the video on the beach wearing a clown suit and offending the locals. And obviously we can't repeat the punchline of that here, so if you want to know the punchline and you haven't heard it, you'll need to listen to the A to Z of Bowie. So, final question. Where was I when I heard Bowie had passed, and what did I do? Well, I know exactly where I was, because I was in my car and I had just set off for work. I was literally still in my road, about to drive into work, and I was listening to BBC Six Music, and obviously it's not the news you ever want to hear, but if I had to hear it, hearing it from like Sean Keaveney and Matt Everett, who were both clearly devastated and handled it with such professionalism and such sort of feeling and sensitivity, that would be the ideal way to hear it. They were brilliant. I think like most of us, I was kind of like in denial for ages. But and what did I do? Well, what do you do? I listened to Bowie all day. I got on the social media and just shared stories and videos and anecdotes and memories with like-minded people. And it's an interesting thing because we've probably all got a friend who will sort of say, oh, why are you upset that such and such a person died? It's not like you knew him. And it's true. But the way I see it is that we love these people not because we knew them, but because they helped us know ourselves. You know what I mean? I mean, so much of my life experience has been to a Bowie soundtrack. So many Bowie songs have particular resonances for me that, yeah, okay, I never knew him, but he taught me a lot about myself. Anyway, yeah, that concludes my Bowie Confessional. Thank you for listening.